welcome. How's everyone doing today? Where's everyone watching from? Let me know. We'll get started with the lesson right at the top of the hour, which is in 25 minutes. I always turn on the stream a little bit early. Today I turn it on a little bit earlier even than usual. I normally don't turn it on 25 minutes early. I usually like 20 minutes. But yeah, let me know where you're all watching from. We have a fun intermediate level lesson coming up. I am really excited about today's lesson. And I don't get to say that about every lesson I teach, but sometimes I get to teach a lesson where I get to make the best lesson in existence about it. So it's happened a few times when I get to make a lesson that isn't covered in detail anywhere else that I can find. And we get another chance to do that with today's lesson about 마찬가지. You will not find a better lesson about 마찬가지 on the whole internet. Trust me, bro. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But before that, we still have about 20 or so minutes just to kind of hang out, ask questions, mingle together. Welcome, Aneki. Aneki is the first member that I see in the chat. I'm not holding my tablet right now. It's actually still charging because I forgot to turn it on until like an hour or so ago. And I know that it's old. And if I take it out right now, it's going to die mid-lesson. So I'm going to wait. I'll use it. I'll definitely have it within 20 minutes when we start the lesson. But I'm going to give it a little bit more time to charge just to make sure it lasts. So I'm looking over here actually at my computer and reading your comments directly from there. But just imagine that I'm holding up my tablet and looking down at your comments like this. It's pretty much the same thing. Let's see. Park Jimin asked an interesting question. They asked, do you know BTS? Do I know BTS? It's a good question. Well, I mean, I did make 7 individual videos analyzing their speech patterns and personalities from everything from their dialect to expressions to filler words that they use, the way that they handle honorifics and polite speech to each other. But no, I've never heard of them. Maybe enlighten me. What's this? BTS. I know BLT. Is it kind of like that? Maybe bacon, tomato, and spinach? Actually, that doesn't sound too bad. Pretty much bacon, tomato, anything sounds pretty good. Behind the scenes, yes, behind the scenes. That's still what many people think if they're not familiar with Korean music. They're just gonna say, "Oh yeah, it's behind the scenes." Still, sometimes if I'm searching for like behind the scenes footage of a movie I like, I'll still type the movie name and then BTS. Yeah, and occasionally there will be like a mashup of the theme with a BTS song, but usually it'll still give me behind the scenes content. Someone said, your videos about BTS was great. Thank you. I had fun making them. They took a long time to make and research. Oh gosh, I think, was that like 3 months? That was early last year that I was researching and filming. They took a long time. Each one took a long time to edit on top of weeks of just watching nonstop Run BTS episodes and their live streams on Weverse. It was like that for, I don't even remember. I blanked. My memory is just gone from that period. It was just every day waking up thinking about BTS. Like not even, I wasn't listening to their music. Hardly. It was just watching clips of them and studying them and trying to take notes and figure out, their speech patterns and everything. But it was a lot of fun. Although we won't get to see them all together again until I believe 2025. So next year, next year they should all be back. Maybe there will be a resurgence of BTS toward the end of next year. We'll see. Stella's mom has got it going on, as I've heard. 필리 선생님, 안녕하세요. Welcome. I've got a fun lesson coming up for everyone. Okay, I need to get the... Oh, Aniki says, I request a lesson about 던지. That's just 든지. I have a lesson about that, so you can check my channel for 든. It's the same as 든. 하든, 안 하든, 하든 말든, 하든지 말든지, 던지. Unless you're talking about 했던지. So I also believe I have a lesson on that as well. There's a different, yeah, just check out the Google document to see, search for 던 as well as search for 든. And if you can't find it in there though, let me know and I can find it. But I think I've already done a lesson describing how those work. At least I should have. It's a pretty common question, I think. Victoria says, greetings from Hungary. Nice. The country name kind of sounds like the Korean word 항아리. 항아리 are those big pots that they make like kimchi in, or 된장. Usually like 된장 nowadays. So like, you know, those big clay pots that you sometimes see next to like traditional Korean houses. Those are all 항아리. Kind of sounds like that. I don't know why I thought of that. It just kind of looks like the word. I know it's a little different. Parastew, nice sentence. Just, I recommend not using 너 to anyone who you wouldn't already use casual speech with. So not to strangers, never. Not to anyone who's older than you, never, even if they're your friend. Not to anyone you're not super close with either. So that's really just like, hey, best buddy in the whole world, I'm hitting you on your back and making fun of you right now. That kind of relationship is the only type of relationship you can use 너 to. Now, it doesn't bug me because I'm a teacher, so I see that all the time, but I'm just letting you know, you would never want to use that to anyone in Korea. For the most part, unless, like I said, they are someone who you're really, really close with and the same age or you're older than them, then it's okay. Because all Koreans probably wouldn't get mad at you. They'll know you just don't, they'll just think you don't speak any Korean. But an older Korean person might get mad if you use it. No, it's not just 했던 거지. It's they're trying to use it as 했든지 in that case, like whether you've done something or not. It doesn't matter. Like 어떻게 like 그렇게 했든지, 이렇게 했든지, whatever you're gonna say, like whether you've done this or done this, 상관없어요, it doesn't matter, or something like that. Jamie asks a good question. If I have a structured course, and the answer is yes, I have a free course with 100 episodes. That is the beginner Korean course. I made it in 2020. You can find it on my channel. It's all in order. It's completely free and it's structured. So it's exactly what you're looking for. Check that out. Paris Stu said, calling someone 너 is a crime. If you are a native Korean, then yes, it would be very, very offensive. As a non-Korean, if you look like you're not a Korean though, you probably can get away with it. To a younger Korean, they'll understand you just don't speak any Korean. But then again, they'll think you don't speak any Korean, so that's not good. You want them to think you know at least some Korean, so they'll speak to you in Korean. But then an older Korean who might think that you speak Korean but simply aren't, being polite to them, would get offended. So just be careful with that word. And you know, it's not a fast rule. There will be some older Koreans that understand you're just misusing the word and they'll just laugh. But in general, I think people would feel uncomfortable about it. Maddie says, a Korean native recently corrected my writing saying that people are actually replacing 우리 어머니 with 제 어머니. No? The end? No, it's fine. You can use 제 어머니, you can use 우리 어머니. They're both fine. They just have different nuances. Typically, people, though, will use 우리 for anything that's collectively owned. So something that's not yours, but something that you mean it's a part of my existence, like my family's mother. In that sense, 우리 어머니 sounds a little more natural than 제, which means like my mom, not yours. Get your own mom. This is 제 어머니. Kind of has, I know it's not that strong, but you can use either, but typically 우리 will be more preferred. But you're saying someone corrected you? I've never heard anything like that. If you send me exactly what they said to you, I can let you know, but that seems awkward. Because 우리 itself is still used very frequently. In fact, it's even combined into many words. 우리나라 is one of the most common ones. 우리나라 is different than 우리나라 as two words. 우리나라 literally means our country. So if you're from, Switzerland and you want to say 우리나라에서는, like in my country, like as in saying in Switzerland. But if you say 우리나라, although they sound the exact same, the context will let you know what they're talking about. 우리나라 as one word is Korea, only Korea. It doesn't mean our country anymore. It's just a way of referring to, like saying this land is my land. This land is your land. Like that kind of thing. It just means Korea. So no, it's completely fine and natural to say 우리 still. Yeah, not collective ownership, but like it's not something that you simply are, it's not something that you own, but it's in relation to you in that sort of sense. So yeah, they use it for my wife. Yeah, our wife is what you say, but you don't mean it like our, as in I'm referring to you. It's more like me and maybe the kid as our kid as well. That sort of in relation to this group, because Korean has a lot of that sort of group culture. When Koreans get married, it's not about a husband and wife getting married. For a lot of people, it's actually about families joining together. So you get a lot of Korean drama episodes will go on and on because of this issue sometimes. There are two main possessive markers in Korean. There's 의, which you're familiar with, but then there's another one. There's 내, which is another possessive marker, which is used for any sort of group ownership. And I have a video about that as well if you want to learn that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that has to do with like, it's not mine, but it's ours, that sort of feeling. Okay, let's see. Shafiu Muhammad says, what is the difference between 미워요 and 싫어요? So you're simply asking the difference between two verbs, 밉다. I don't know what that's supposed to be an and it turned into an 8. So I'm just going to remove it. 밉다 and 싫다. 싫다 is to dislike, basically. And that's what you use typically when you say like, I really don't like, or I hate that almost. Although it doesn't really mean hate. It's not that strong, but it is just like saying, I really kind of hate that. Like, I don't really like that. Oh, I just really don't like when they put sugar into bread that's supposed to be savory, not sweet. 정말 싫어요. I really don't like it. I hate it. Like that. But 밉다 is actually more like a hate, loathe, strong dislike. So this one's simply not liking, and then this one is a strong dislike. So, 엄마 미워, I hate you, mom. Like that sort of meaning. It's not used that commonly though. You're not going to hear 밉다 like 미워하다, like to hate something as much. So it really just has a stronger meaning of a strong dislike versus simply not liking. While I'm on the board, let's go over the prerequisites for today's lesson. In order to follow along with today's lesson, you need to at least know how to conjugate verbs and conjugate adjectives. So what I mean is, how can you make an adjective? Well, you're going to take a descriptive verb typically, like if you want to say, if you have the word a day and you want to add the adjective good. So you want to say a good day. It was a good day. Well, you need to conjugate the descriptive verb 좋다, to be good, into 좋은 날. And now you get 좋은 날, which is also an IU song. Or if you want to conjugate a verb, an action verb into an adjective, you can say like, the day that I go to school. 학교에 가는 날. 가다, to go. So 가는, going, like the day that I go, it's an adjective version of the action verb. So you need to be familiar with how to conjugate verbs, both descriptive verbs and action verbs, into adjectives in order to do this lesson. So that's what you want to know how to do. Conjugating verbs. And then also, of course, just conjugating, the typical yo form, past tense, future tense, that sort of thing. But it is really an intermediate level lesson. So this would be beginner level stuff. And if you don't know this yet, you might not be ready for today's lesson. But the beginning part of this lesson, even if you're a beginner, you'll still be fine with, because we're just going to teach the word 마찬가지, which is simply a noun. And it's really easy to use. So that part, any beginner can follow along. But when we start using it with verbs and adjectives and nouns, that's when you're going to need to know how to use these, or else it'll be difficult to make it yourself. But you can probably still follow along anyway. I'll try to make the lesson as simple as possible, as I usually do. Okay, I think I'm going to try taking my tablet now. Hopefully it doesn't shut off in the middle of the lesson. Aniki says, are 1등 and 1위 different, or are they interchangeable? They're interchangeable. They have different nuances though. I'd say 등 is used more commonly in regular speech. 위 sounds more formal, more official. So that would be like the Olympics, you got 1위 or something like that. You got the prize for first prize. 등 though is going to be used more commonly just in everyday things. So yeah, they're interchangeable, but you're going to use 등 most of the time. 위 just has more of a fancy feeling to it. You'll see 위 also used in newspapers. So it's not going to list the order of people in 등, it's going to use 위 for the newspaper because it also has more of a formal feel. SK says, 인생 and 삶, I get confused. I actually have a video about that. I don't know if I already uploaded it. Check if I already uploaded it. But if not, it should be uploaded soon. I already made it, I'm pretty sure. Soviet Wizard, I thought with verbs to make adjectives. With ida, I see it being used with present tense as in. Yes, that is correct. Soviet Wizard, I recommend... 싫 also means I don't want. No, that would not be correct. You could do like verb stem with 기, 싫다 to mean you don't want to do something. Or 싫어요 means I don't like that, basically. It could mean I don't want it, but it literally means I don't like it. And then you asked a question about ida. That would be in for the adjective form. And the answer to why that is, I would recommend watching my live stream about how to conjugate descriptive verbs into adjectives, because that's the regular form for any descriptive form in the present tense. It's going to end with one of two options, either just a nian, which that one has, or un. So yeah, watch that video for how it conjugates. Let's see here. All right, any other questions? We're not going to get started for another 5 minutes, but I can take a couple other questions if you have them. There's going to be, again, if you just came here, I'll let you know again, there's going to be a really cool lesson. This will be the best lesson about 마찬가지 on the entire internet, I guarantee you. How do I know that? Well, whenever I prepare for my lessons, I first write my own definition for everything, like, you know, how I'm going to teach it. And then I want to add in some sentences. So I'll get some sentences that I can put in, create some sentences. And then I will also reference whatever is on Naver Dictionary to check to make sure I'm not teaching anything incorrect, or if I'm missing something. I have several books I use for reference to kind of put everything together. And then as the last step I will do is I will also go on the internet and find other lessons sometimes. And there might be a lot depending on the topic, or a few. And with this topic, there weren't very many. There were a couple that I could find about the topic. And one of them taught one part of 마찬가지 and another part taught another part of 마찬가지, and neither of them completely taught the topic. So I thought, great, that means it's my job to do it. So I had to write my lesson. It took an extra long time to do it. And there were some confusion, a lot of confusion about this form. I also Googled forum posts about this topic, and I can find a lot of people were confused about it, and there wasn't really any resource that was explaining it well enough, I felt. So yeah, this will be that lesson, I think. This will be the best lesson about 마찬가지 in the entire universe. I said it, the universe. In some other dimension, there will be another Go Billy Korean that's teaching this topic. And this right now, in this dimension, it is going to be better. I guarantee you. Giovanni asks, do you suggest getting a private tutor? Yes and no. If you like that style of learning, sure. It's expensive. So I would say no for that reason. I do think what's really useful, though, is if you have someone who you can ask questions to You don't necessarily have to pay for that though. But if you don't know anyone or you can't find anyone on the internet, then sure, you could have a tutor who you simply ask questions while you're doing self-study. Or another really good thing is just to have a native Korean speaker who you can do speaking practice with, but they don't need to be a tutor. It can just be anyone who's speaking with you, because their job isn't to teach you, it's just to let you have someone to practice with. And those sorts of tutors are very affordable because they don't have any qualifications to teach. So although you can't really ask them questions like, why did you say this instead of this? Because they're native speakers, they're not teachers, they wouldn't know. But that would be a really good use of money. Now, if you're overflowing with money, yeah, get a private tutor. But I just think that sometimes the cost of them doesn't match what you get out of them, even the best ones, just because it's such a short time. If you do use a private tutor, I would say have questions prepared in advance, have topics prepared that you would like to go over with in advance. Don't just say, hey, teach me Korean, because that's going to take thousands of sessions to do. But yeah, maybe you have an extra 50 grand and you don't mind, then yeah, sure, that tutoring would be great. But yeah, I'm always thinking about price, you know. Aniki says, do you have any unusual words you learned as a beginner and they stick to you? Like at the time they were unusual, but now they're not so much. Like the word for stump, for a tree stump, like words for putting on a button, like words for some slang words. Yeah. Actually, I probably shouldn't say some of them. They're not bad words, but they're a bit strong. Yeah, some stuff like that, random words here and there, but like nothing really special. It was just someone would tell me a word and I would think that's funny and I'd write it down and then I'd never get to use it. Oh, Zandra, hey, I'm rearranging the living room, but I'm listening. Nice. Billy, GOAT. Yes. I realized when we first started these live lessons, that was in 2018. It's now been almost 5.5 years since we started doing these weekly or kind of almost weekly live streams. And yeah, the first thing we did was set up our fan name, which was the Billy Goats. Now, we don't use that name so much anymore. I'm not opposed to it. We just, for whatever reason, don't. But if you subscribe to me, and I think was it 2 months or 3 months? Aniki has it right now. You get the goat for next to your name when you subscribe to this YouTube channel. That's from the Billy Goats. Malang malang. Oh, yeah. Malang malang would be like soft, squishy, kind of. Chef Yu says, please explain how bad is 나쁜 놈. Not that bad. It's used sarcastically between friends. If you use it seriously to someone, it just means that's like a dude, that guy's a bad guy, like bad dude. It's not like a swear though so much, because that specific expression is used commonly enough that it's not a swear. Now, the last word in there, 놈, can be used as a swear depending how you're using it. But the expression 나쁜 놈 is not that bad. And yeah, you can use it freely to your close friends, like, dude, you jerk, like that sort of way. But that doesn't mean you can throw the word 놈 around everywhere. It can be bad if used in certain situations. And there are some words like that in Korean where they're not bad words, but if you use them in this way, they are very bad. There are a lot of things like that. I'm not going to go into that because I don't like teaching swear words on my channel, because I want to make sure my channel is accessible for anyone who's trying to learn Korean. But yeah. Okay, 1 more minute. Valentine, no, that's not quite. 1 more minute and then we're going to start the lesson. Again, this is an intermediate lesson about 마찬가지, but the first part of this lesson is beginner friendly, so don't worry. Fisho said, would you ever study Japanese again? Probably not, because I would have to stop all of my Korean studies in order to do that. And nowadays, I don't have any friends that only speak in Japanese like I did when I was in college. I had some friends that didn't speak much English, so it was worth it to me. Nowadays, though, the friends that I still have from Japan, they all speak enough English, or they speak Korean, if they're Korean that live in Japan. So no, probably not. Okay, let's see. All right, let's get started with the lesson. Actually, let's use blue. I feel a little bit festive. We're going to be learning about the word 마찬가지, and first we're going to learn how to use it with just the verb 이다, meaning to be. So you can conjugate 이다 after 마찬가지 any way you'd like. So you could say 이에요, or 마찬가지야, or 마찬가지면, like if it is 마찬가지, anything like that. Now, originally, what is 마찬가지? It is a shortened version of this. Actually, a lot of grammar. Whoa, glass artist. Just getting started with the lesson and glass artist pops up. Glass artist, whoa. Thank you so much for your generosity. $50 donation. 안녕하세요, 선생님. Oh, wait, first let me give you 50 dabs and then I'll read your message. Well, let's get some music. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 30. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 40. 1, 2, 3, 50. Whew. I think I'm getting better at dabbing. I can do it pretty fast now. Okay. Glass Artist says, 안녕하세요. My newest goal is to complete the conjugation study of the 100 100 Korean verbs. Is there a 100 Korean verbs thing? Here's a question regarding the imperative conjugation, 가다, 가세요. However, why is 먹다 as 드세요? Okay, yeah, let me do that right after I do this. I'll answer that. I'll just put a little note here. 드세요. Okay, I'll do it in a bit. I can totally explain that. Okay. So no dabs. Oh, too late. Sorry. Okay. Originally it's a shortened form of 마치 한 가지, and 마치 means similar to 한 가지, like one thing. So the same as, or just alike, or similar to one thing, literally. And 마찬가지 means to be the same. So the same or similar. 마찬가지이다, to be the same or similar. Now, you can use 마찬가지 on its own to just say that something or someone is the same. For example, I like writing. 그것도 마찬가지야. 그것, that thing, also is the same. That's also the same. 그것도 마찬가지야. Yeah, that's also the same. You can also use it after a noun with either 과 or 와 to mean with, or in informal speech, you can use it with 이랑 after a consonant or 랑 after a vowel, which also has the same meaning, with. So you can use it after a noun like this to mean also the same as or similar to. So if you want to say what it's the same as or similar to, then whatever it is, you mark it with a particle meaning with, either 과와 or 이랑. So let me show you an example of that. Very simple. 그거랑, so literally with that, 마찬가지예요. It is the same with that. So that's how you would say, it's the same as that. 그거랑 마찬가지예요. So you can see that 마찬가지 is really just a regular word. Or if you use the particle, particle, or if you use the particle 으로, meaning using, literally, or with, this one can be attached to 마찬가지 to use it as an adverb. That would be as 마찬가지로. Now it's an adverb, and this adverb means the same as, like in the same way as, or alike, or similarly. Let me give you an example of that. 오지? 쟤랑 마찬가지로 Okay. Am I going too fast? I'm trying to just quickly go over the uses of this as a noun by itself before we actually talk about the form. Let me know if I'm going too fast. 오늘도. So today also 어제랑 with yesterday. 마찬가지로. So similarly or the same as yesterday. Now it's being used as an adverb, so a verb is going to come after it. 춥다, to be cold. 추울 거예요. So it will be cold similarly with yesterday, literally. Today also. So today will also be cold the same as yesterday, or literally similarly with yesterday, or the same as yesterday. So those were 3 ways that it can be commonly used just as a noun. I'm going to leave this up for a second. Oh, okay. I'm going to raise it. I already hit the gong. Okay, so really quick, Glass Artist had a question. The form, so this is the honorific form specifically, not the regular imperative like go. 가다, the regular imperative form of it, you could have 가, or you could have 가라, or as you have 가세요, which is the polite way to say go, or 하세요, like that. But you notice with 먹다 does not become 먹으세요, right? I mean, according to conjugation rules, it should, but it doesn't. It becomes, in fact, there is no such thing as 먹으세요, if you're wondering. 먹으세요 is always wrong. There's no situation where it's correct unless you give the sentence of 저 외국 사람은 방금 먹으세요라고 했어요. Like that foreigner just said 먹으세요. Like you never use it. What it is 드세요. The reason is because 먹다 itself is a regular verb that just means to eat. But when you're talking about honorifics, some verbs have different honorific versions. So like, for example, 자다, to sleep, 잠자다, to sleep, becomes 주무시다, right? 있다, to exist for a person, becomes 계시다. Well, 먹다, to eat, becomes this verb. 들다. There's another verb that it can also become. 잡수다, 잡수시다. But that's even higher and that's not that common. 들다 is what it becomes. But you never use this verb, 들다. 들다 is the honorific version of 먹다, to eat. And how do you make this one honorific? Well, you drop the 다, of course. Then because it ends in a lir, you have to remove that. And then you attach 시다. So now you get 드시다. So this is the verb that you work with for honorifics. And that becomes, 시다 becomes 해요. Always. 으시다 becomes 으세요. And this is all in a separate lesson. I know if you've never seen this before, it might seem like I'm skipping steps. That's because this is normally part of a lesson where you learn about all the different verbs for honorifics, like when to use honorifics. But yeah, it's just from 들다, from 드시다 to 드세요. So that's it. You can't say 먹으세요. It's wrong. If you're talking to your friends and you don't want to be honorific, you would just say 먹어, or even 먹어요 if you want to use the 요 form. 먹어요. 먹어요. That can also be used as an imperative, as a command. Okay, hopefully that answers your question, but if it doesn't, feel free to ask me. a follow-up. Okay. Write this form down. This is the form that covers every single usage of 마찬가지. And if you've already learned 마찬가지, you might actually think, wait, no, I've seen it with, wait, why is it una? Isn't it ina? Or isn't it kona? Don't worry, this is the form. Every single time it's actually this form. We'll talk about it. If you know this one form, you can get to any of the other forms we're going to be using today. So write this one down. This is the main form that we're going to be using to use 마찬가지 with other things besides just as a noun. We can also use it with verbs. So again, 마찬가지 by itself just means the same as. So you can say something 마찬가지이다. It is the same. Or something is the same as something. Or just like something, it's the same. But now we're going to be able to say it's the same as if. Or it's the same as, or it's practically something. So that's what we're going to use for this. Okay, I'll give you like 30 more seconds to write it down. This is the most important form. It has everything in it. Okay. So the way it works is you take a verb stem, any verb, and you attach na if it ends in a consonant, or just attach na if it ends in a vowel. Now, if it ends with certain letters, you will have, there are exceptions. One of the common exceptions you'll see is if the verb stem ends with this letter, you just remove it first. So keep your eyes peeled if you see something that doesn't quite look the same, but this is how it works. Okay, so what is this form? Before we talk about exactly how it works and everything, what is this form? Well, this form combines two things together. First, 마찬가지, which we learn means the same or similar. And this form, una. Una is a verb ending which is used in actually several different grammar forms. It's not exclusive to this form. Una shows that the result of something, basically that something, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. This una form by itself has the meaning of saying something like, well, it's no different if you do this verb, or it's no different if this verb is a descriptive verb, if it is something, or it's the same if you do this verb, or if this verb is something. It doesn't matter. It's no different. That's what it means. Specifically, it's no different. The result does not change anything. I shouldn't say that it doesn't matter because it's not that you don't care, but it's just saying that it's no different. Whether you do it or not, it's no different. So, 하나, whether you do it, it's the same. It's no different. That's what you're saying. For those of you who are already intermediate, I'll give you an extra note. You don't need to write this down unless you know what I'm talking about. 든지. So I did another lesson about 든지. If you would like to learn about that, check through my live streams. I have a whole lesson about 든지. 든지 means regardless or whether or not, as in, it simply doesn't matter. So the difference is this form is simply saying it doesn't change anything. It's no different. And this one specifically is saying it doesn't matter. But both of these forms are pretty similar, and you can actually change this form for this form and get away with it because they have generally the same usage. But again, 든지 is for saying whether you do something or regardless of whether you do something, it doesn't matter. And this una is for saying it's no different if you do it. It's the same regardless. That sort of meaning. So similar, but different. Also, this is like making it worse. Also, if you're intermediate, you might have heard this form before. Una mana. Hana mana. So, I have a I don't have a live stream. I have a Learn Korean episode about this, the series where KitKat appears. Episode 113, where I teach about this form, but this uses also this same form with the verb 말다. Like whether you do it or whether you don't do it, it's the same is what this form means. So if you've seen this form before, if this looks kind of familiar, it might be from this form. Una mana. Just kind of pointing out that it's not only used in this form. Okay, so that's all you need to know about una. So here's the way that it works. When you're using a verb, you're going to attach una, as I said, but what if it's going to be an action verb? Well, for action verbs, you're actually going to do something specific. When you're using this form with verbs, however, you're going to actually change it into an adjective. So you don't need to use una for the verb stem. You're actually going to use an adjective form, and then you're going to attach kona to the end. You don't need sorry, you would actually have a space. So what is this? So kona and then 마찬가지. This kona might look like a special form. It's actually the exact same thing as what I just said, attaching una. What it is 것 for a thing, and then the verb 이다. And 이다 is actually, so to be, and this is actually just using the una ending as well. So it's the same thing. You can either do verb to an adjective with kona, which is 것이나, or you can do verb stem with una. It's the same because you're actually doing the same thing. But in Korean, there are often multiple ways to make each tense. In Korean, there are more than one way to make, let me say that again. In Korean, there is more than one way to make each tense. If you have never heard this before, this is probably why I marked this lesson intermediate, but let me just show you really quick. Maybe you have heard of it. 하다, to do. How do you make this into present tense? Well, you probably know 해요, of course. But there's another way you can make this into present tense, which is equally common. 하는 거예요. 하는 거예요 is also present tense. So there's a second way to make everything into present tense, as well as past tense, as well as there's another one for future tense. Let me show you. For past tense, you probably know 했어요, right? But there's another past tense. 한 거예요. Past tense, past tense. There are differences between these, and I have lessons about that, but they're both past tense, and they're both the same amount of politeness. Different nuance, same meaning. 했어요, I did it. 한 거예요, I did it. For future tense, the normal future tense you probably know is like 하겠습니다 or something like that. Or like 하겠어요, but 하겠어요 wouldn't really be used typically for future. But there's also 할 거예요, which also uses the same 것 thing. 할 거예요, I will do it. So just like that, whether you're using one way of making the verb into present or past or future tense, you can do the same thing here by either using the verb directly with una or by using it with 거나, and the adjective. It's the same thing. Hopefully that kind of helps clarify it. If you've never heard of both of those forms, though, you might now be more confused than you were before. If that's so, don't worry. Just know there are two ways you can use this form, 마찬가지, with a verb. You can either use it with the verb stem and 으나, or you can use it with an adjective made from a verb and 거나. It's the same. Don't worry about it. I was just explaining where it comes from so you don't think it's some magical new form that just popped out of nowhere for 마찬가지. It's not. It's the exact same thing. You could say adjective 것이나 마찬가지다, and it's 100% grammatically correct. People don't say that too much, but it's fine. Okay. Or what if the verb we're using is 이다, to be? Well, you attach 으나 to the verb stem, and attaching that to 이 makes it 나. So you get 이나 after a consonant or 나 after a vowel. So that's how you can use this with a noun. So the meaning that you get by using this form with verbs is to say it's no different, or it's the same as. By that, it's the same as if you do something for a verb, or it's the same as a noun. Now, literally, you can already say that with just 마찬가지, you can already say that with 마찬가지, as I already explained. But this one is going to have more emphasis to it. If I can actually speak, this way is going to have more emphasis to it, and it'll sound more like an expression and less like a literal translation of something. So, for example, what if you wanted to say, let's see. Actually, let me give you some examples of conjugation. So let me give you a few examples of conjugation, and then I'll give you an example of how this works. So let's say we're going to use 하다, 먹다. Just going to give you some verbs. And 빠르다. So 하다, to do. Well, you're going to get either 하나 or 한 is the adjective form. So 한, 거나, and then 마찬가지, and then 이다. So 마찬가지다. It's the same as if you do it. Yeah. 먹다. You could get 먹으나, right? Or you can get 먹은 거나, like that. For 빠르다 is a descriptive verb. Again, so this is the 먹은 거예요, the past tense of 먹다. So you have options for what you can do. The main point is that the main thing is to remember that 으나 means it's no different, or it's the same whether you do something or not. Like, it doesn't change anything. That's the main thing to remember, is that using 으나 has that meaning. Okay, if you use 빠르다, you can change this to an adjective, which is 빠른. And then 거나, 빠른 거나. This is pretty much how it works. And you'll see some examples, so don't worry too much yet. If we're using this with a noun directly, let's do the two nouns. Let's do 학교 and 집. We're going to use the verb 이다 after a noun, which becomes 이다. So we remove the 다, we attach 나, but since this already ends in a vowel, we don't need the 이. So basically 학교나 or 집이나. That's just where it comes from. So 집이나 or 학교나. Okay, that was a lot to explain. Let me see if there's anything else I need to tell you before. Okay, and then one more thing. There's only one more thing you need to know about this form before we can get some example sentences. And it'll start to feel a little more comfortable once you see some example sentences, I promise. Part of the confusion for this form, though, comes from the fact that there are two ways to make the past tense and the present tense and the future tense in Korean. And usually you don't learn all of those right away. When you learn present tense, we just learn it as 하다 is 해요, the end. But then later you see 하는 거예요, and you're like, what is that? And then you have to get a separate lesson about how it's different, when in reality, it's also present tense. So, okay. One more note. I said it's una. So that's a verb stem with una. Una after a consonant or just na after a vowel. Well, Koreans like to speak simply. So oftentimes you won't even see this added, even when it's supposed to be. I gave you the example of, here. For example, 먹으나. Whether you eat it, it's no different. It doesn't change anything. Well, you'll also see this. 먹나. There are some other forms you also might see as well, but these are the most common ways. So you might sometimes see this without the and just na. It's the same thing, but it is originally supposed to be this form. So don't think that it came from a different form. It's supposed to be the same thing. Now you know everything you need to know about the form except some examples where it's being used. So let me give you a sentence, and I want you to complete this form, but I'm going to help you. Let's see, how are we on time? Oh, good. We're just on time. Okay. Once you see how this form translates, you're going to love it. Because it doesn't just translate as it's the same, but you'll see. Okay. Oh wait, I said I was going to let you guys let's pretend you didn't see this. Okay. Okay, I just finished. I didn't write that. You didn't see that. I want you to finish the sentence. I'm going to tell you what you should do. So, let's start with the beginning. 이건. So this thing, 이것은 조별 과제. 조별 과제 is a group project, a group assignment. So 이건 조별 과제였는데. So this was a group assignment, but 였는데, however, 혼자, by oneself. So in this case, it's going to be by myself. It's the same as if I did it by myself. I did it by myself. Past tense. So we need to finish this sentence with, it's the same as if I did it by myself. If I clap, it helps you understand it, right? It's the same as if I did it by myself. I have all the sentence done. We're just missing, I promise you, we are only missing this form. You don't need to add any other words, just this form. It's the same as if I did it by myself. So I already have everything. All you need to do is the verb, I did it. I did it. It's just going to be past tense. 하다. It's the same, but you need to add, you're going to need to add 마찬가지 and finish the form. But it's the same as if I did it by myself. Do it. Do it. Unlimited power. Okay, finish the sentence. Let's see here. And again, this is not a race. You don't need to get it first. You can look at other people's if you can't get it, but try to do it on your own first. Let's see. Aniki is our first member to attempt. 혼자 한거 Aniki, typo. I think typo. Yes, I think typo, but it's so close to being perfect. Okay, Maya. 한 typo. Small typo. Other than that, Maya, perfect. Just fix your typo with, you wrote hanta. There's no hanta in this lesson. It's only Korean. Okay, let's see. Maddie. Maddie is, no, Maddie, you're close. You're close, Maddie. You did not fail. You are close. And you're going above and beyond. All we're saying is it is the same as if. So that is the same. It's just going to be 마찬가지 with 이다. You don't have to be all fancy with it. Not like it felt as if, although it had been maybe possibly the same as could have been like I had done. No, just it is the same as. Like, that's it. You don't need to go get fancy with it. But give it another try. I think you could do it. 혼자 한, yes. Perfect. Hopegate. Aniki as well. Perfect. Tigut and Nian are close. They are the exact same tongue spot. So yes. Or I shouldn't say tongue spot, but yeah, the position in your mouth where your tongue is when they make the letter is the same for the D and the N. There are other letters like that in Korean as well. The piup and the mium can also come out like that as well. Yeah. And then there are other ones which are completely different. If I'm not using 컷, it would just be, yeah, you would just use the una form. However, you're going to want to use the kona form. Most of the time, this is going to use the kona form. Not always, but we'll see. I mean, I'll show you the other examples. Usually we'll use it. Aniki says, I was talking about the keyboard. Oh, that's true too. Yeah, that also is correct. But I remember hearing people would sometimes say "they," and it sounded like they're saying "they" because it comes out of the same spot. Although they're not saying "they" because that would sound completely different. But yeah, it kind of sounds like that. Okay, another like 10 seconds if anyone wants to give this a try. Should write that a little nicer. I think that's actually worse. Okay. 이건, so this thing, 이것은 조별 과제, group project or group activity, group assignment, 조별 과제였는데, so this was a group assignment, but 혼자 한 것. So 한 거예요. I did it by myself. 한 거나. It's the same as, or it's no different than, I did it all by myself. 마찬가지요. So it's the same as if I had did it. It's the same as if I had done it all by myself. So this was a group project, but it's the same as if I did it by myself. So that's literally what we get. Now think about that sentence in English for a second. Since most of you I know are native English speakers, would you say this in English? It was a group project, but it's the same as if I did it all by myself. It makes sense. It's not how we speak, though. Is there a more natural way that you could express this? Like, don't think about the literal meaning, but just think about this sentence. It was supposed to be a group project, but how would you finish that sentence in a natural way? I want to see how you would translate it. You know what it means now. It's the same as if I had done it all by myself. But how would you translate this more naturally into English? What do you think? I'm wondering if you'll come to the same conclusion that I had. Because the way you translate this is so natural. You're all going to love it. Kevin wrote, I might as well have done it by myself. It's not quite saying that it was useless to do it. Like, you're not quite saying like, oh, I wish I had done it. Might as well. It's not an I wish I would have form, but I appreciate the attempt. That was good. I basically did it by myself. That could work. Yes. That's one you could do it. A lot of people wrote basically. Is there another word you can think of? There's another word that we use that covers more meanings. Basically is like when you're simplifying something, but basically won't always translate for this form. There's another word though that will. Maddie, you got it. Maddie's got it. Practically. This form is how you say practically. It's the same as, but more naturally, you're going to say this. This was a group project, but I practically did it by myself. Now you've got a natural sounding sentence. Now you can understand why someone might want to use this form. You're not going to need to say, it's the same as if I had done it by myself. But you would want to say something like, I practically did it all by myself. Or maybe I basically did it all by myself. That works too. Not always. Basically won't fit some sentences. And you'll see another sentence we have where basically doesn't really fit, but practically will. So this is how you say either it's the same as if or practically in Korean. Let's do the next sentence. I'm going to have you finish this one as well. Pause. 최선을 다하다 means to do your best or to try your best, just to give it your all. 최선을 다하다. 최선을 다하지 않으면, so if you don't do your best or you don't try your best, well, it's practically just giving up. Or it's the same as if you give up. Now, giving up in Korean is 포기하다. So it's the same as, okay, wait, before you do this sentence, before you try this sentence, let me say this again so you can think about it. If you don't do your best, it's the same as giving up. Now this is a noun. It's the same as giving up. You're not saying it's the same as if I did it, past tense. It's not the same as if I do it, present tense. This is the same as a noun. It's the same as giving, the noun, giving up. Just keep that in mind. I don't want you to write this as if it's the same as you gave up, which doesn't make any sense. Or it's the same as you give up, right? That doesn't make sense either in present tense. It's the same as the noun, giving up. Hopefully that kind of steered you in the right direction. Okay, take a moment, think about it. So if you don't give it your all, it's practically, you're practically giving up. Or it's the same as giving up. If you don't try your best, you're basically giving up. Yeah, Aniki, try it again, Aniki. But hopefully what I said, because you wrote that before I had finished explaining it. So go ahead and give it another try. Yes. Aniki, perfect. Okay, Maya. 포기, oh yeah, as well. Maya, go ahead and give it another try. Think about it though. 홉게, 최선을 다하지만 포기하기 kind of, because yeah, it's a noun technically, but we're gonna do this with 거나. So most of the time because this isn't an exact science, but most of the time this tends to get used with 거나 whenever it comes out of a verb, and it gets used with just ina whenever it's just out of a noun. But it's not really hard science. So yes, you are correct. Yes. But the verb form becoming something that attaches to kolna will be more commonly used. I'll say that. Not that it has to be. It just tends to be. In fact, so much that one of the lessons I found on the internet only taught it with kolna for verbs. They didn't even teach it with na for other uses. Although it is used as well like that. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to read a few others. Yes, Tay. Nice. Valentine. Sure. Olivia, as well as Valentine. That's kind of what I was mentioning, but yeah, it's you did it correctly. Yes, Olivia. Paris Stew. It's not the same as if you gave up. It's the same as giving up. Which in this case is 포기하는 것, giving up. So, like if you have 포기하기, technically that is giving up, but that's not how Koreans make the ing form. So you did it correctly, give yourself a pat on the back, but that's not the right form you use, except, I guess I should do a quick little mini lesson here. So it's okay. There's a reason I mark this as intermediate and not beginner, because you need a lot of prerequisites to follow along. You've probably seen two, there's actually a third one, 포기함, but that I wouldn't quite count that as one of these forms. So to make an action verb into a noun, you have two main options. You can either attach ki after the verb stem, right? Or you can make it into a noun like this with 는 것, like 하는 것, 가는 것. So that would be like literally giving up, or 포기하기 is also giving up. So what's the difference? Well, the difference is that if you're saying it in a sentence, 100% of the time, you use this. If you are using a specific grammar form, then you might have other options. Like if you say, for example, 싫다, to not like to do something, that goes after the 기 form. So 포기하기 싫어요. I don't want to give up. I hate giving up, like that. And then you use this. If you're making a list of items, you would use this. If you're using other grammar forms, again, that use 기, like 때문에, 포기하기 때문에, then you use 기. But if it's not in a specific grammar form that uses this or that needs this, you're never going to use this form to say the ing form of a verb. So maybe that's like a shock if you've learned this, but this is not ever how you say ing verb unless it's in a form where that would normally happen. And there are some exceptions. There are some verbs, like if you're saying I like something, well, you could use either one, because technically there is a form for saying you like something that has this in it anyway. But unless it's a grammar form that can use this, don't use this form. Always use this form to make ing when you're changing a verb into a noun. So I didn't expect to do this little mini lesson as part of this lesson, but after seeing a few examples, I feel like I should explain it. So if you write this, it makes sense. Everyone will get it. Grammatically, you did a good job, but it sounds awkward. And a native Korean listening to it would feel, oh, something's wrong. I don't know what. And that's what it is, because they don't use this for saying ing except when it's used with grammar forms, in which case it still means ing, but they don't use it unless the grammar form normally uses the key form. So yeah, really quick summary again. Anytime you want to say something ing, you want to talk about the noun version of a verb, use the 는 것 form. 100% of the time. That's not a feel it, you'll feel the difference. No, 100%. And if it's a form that you already know it can use the key form, like it's a grammar form or a construction that uses that, then use that one. And using the other one would be awkward. So yeah. Yeah, hopefully some of you had just a big eureka moment where you're like, because you've learned both of them and you didn't understand. Yeah, that's very easy to explain. 100% use 는 것 if you're saying that. So that means this sentence has to be so we're going to use 포기하는 것, giving up. But since 것이나 shortens to 거나, we get this. 최선을 다하지 않으면. So if you do not, 최선을 다하다 means to do your best, to give it your all, to try your hardest. If you don't try your best, well then 포기하는 것, giving up. The noun version of 포기하다, to give up. 포기하는 거나 마찬가지예요. It's the same as if, or it's the same as giving up if you don't do your best. So if you don't do your best, it's the same as giving up, or more naturally, if you're not going to try your best, you're practically or you're basically just giving up. And now we have a really natural English sentence. So if you don't try your best, it's the same as giving up, or it's practically just giving up, or you're basically giving up, like that. So if you don't try your hardest, you're basically giving up, or you're practically giving up. Okay, I'll leave this up for a second. Maddie, yes, because now you have a quoting form and there isn't a quote here. You would just want to say giving up, which is again, a noun. Giving up. 포기하기, literally, which works. 포기하기나, like I said, it makes sense. They'll know exactly what you're trying to say, but it's going to feel awkward. So that's why I would say still give yourself a pat on the back if you wrote 포기하기나, because that means you got how to conjugate exactly this form. You were just missing that one detail about when to use 는 것 versus 기. And I think that counts. I don't think you need to get the sentence perfect to have done a good job at the sentence. Because I'm not teaching you all of Korean today. We're just learning this one form. Okay, next sentence. I'm going to give you the end of the sentence. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to give you anything. I'm not going to give you anything. How do you like that? I'm just going to tell you the sentence. I want you to write it. You know what? I don't feel like teaching right now. I want you to write the sentence. It's the same whether you buy this or that. So whether you buy this, I'll give you a little bit. Okay, I'll do something. I'll end the sentence just so you kind of know. But actually, no, I changed my mind. I'm not going to end the sentence. You do it. Whether you buy this, so 이것을, or whether you buy that, 저걸. It's the same whether you buy this or buy that. It's practically the same if you get this or that. If you get that or this, if you get this or that, it's practically the same. That's what I want you to say. So that was 최선을 다하지 않으면 포기하는 거나 마찬가지예요. Valentine, I actually taught about 든지, and you can replace it with this form, although the nuance is different. It's not the same nuance. But we're not doing 든지 for this lesson. Yes, Maddie, 이걸 사는 거나 저걸 사는 거나 마찬가지예요. Nice. Aniki, 이걸 살 거나, whether you're going to buy this or whether you're going to buy that. You wouldn't use whether you're going to buy that. It just sounds in Korean, it sounds a bit excessive. You can simply say whether you buy this. Just like in English, we wouldn't need to say whether you're going to buy this or whether you're going to buy that. It just sounds like a bit excessive. So whether you buy or whether you buy that. Okay, I'm gonna wait a couple minutes for this. Go ahead and give it a good try. So whether you buy this or whether you buy that, it's the same. It's practically the same whether you get this or that. The chat's not moving. Did it freeze or is everyone just writing their sentences? Okay, I guess a few people are writing their sentences. Okay, let's see. Who else has one? Yes, Arendano. Nice. You didn't have to break up into 이것을, but that's fine. Your sentence is correct. SK, it's not whether you bought this or whether you bought that, but I'll give you credit because you conjugated it correctly. 사는 거나 저걸 사는 거나 마찬가지. Yeah, nice, Pear Stew. So whether you're buying this or whether you're buying that, it's the same. Okay. However, for this, I'm just going to use the 은하 form. 이걸 사나. So if you buy this, 이것을 사다, to buy. So 사나. So it's no different if you buy this, and it's no different if you buy that. 마찬가지야. It's the same. So it's the same whether you buy this or that. 이걸 사나, 저걸 사나, 마찬가지야. So whether you buy this or that, it's practically the same. 이걸 사나, 저걸 사나, 마찬가지야. Or you could have had 이걸 사는 거나 저걸 사는 거나 마찬가지야. Same thing. Again, Because keep in mind, the 거나 is simply 것이나. So you can say the present tense as either 사요 from 사다. You can say 사요 or 사는 거예요, like that. So you have two options. You also have two options whenever you're using this form. Most of the time I see that 거나 tends to get used, but you can also use the regular form just like this. 사나, 사나. You don't have to use 사는 거나. 이거나 저걸 사는 거나. The 이거나 part wouldn't be correct. You could say 이거나 저걸. Oh, I see what you're trying to say, because I saw it was written with the different form. 이거나 저걸 사는 거나. 이거나 저걸 사는 거나. Whether you buy like this or buy like that, it has a different meaning, because the na that's from ina. And this one's from una, which are different forms. Although this one does have an ina in it, but the usage of that ina is slightly different, because that's used to say something or something else when the choice doesn't matter. So you're saying whether I buy this, it doesn't matter, or I don't buy it, or if I buy that, it doesn't matter, and whether I do it or not, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like a really doesn't matter sort of sentence. Like whether you buy this or what, or nothing or that, or whatever, it's the same. Like, I don't care. Like, kind of has that sort of meaning. You can do it. But you don't need to combine so many of the nas together. Then it's just, your sentence is just like na, like that. Like, you really don't care. Why buy anything? Why buy? Why? W. Question mark. Daria, it's fine. And I recommend using 거나 because it's going to be more clear that you're talking about this form most of the time. What I've seen is that for shorter verbs, it tends to be a little bit more common to use it with just na at the end of a verb stem. And for longer verbs, I've seen a lot of the example sentences use 거나 more. I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you use either one, it's going to be correct, but a Korean themselves might speak preferring to use one or the other. Just so you know, you might see some Koreans prefer to use one way or the other, but grammatically, you're fine with either way. You can say 사나 or 사는 거나. It's the exact same thing because they're both the same present tense. And 사나 is totally common because 사나 is used really commonly. 사나 많아요. Like, it doesn't matter if you buy it, it's the same. Or 하나 많아 이다 is another grammar form. I have a lesson about that for Learn Korean episode 113. If you want to learn about that una mana form, which is the exact same thing as this, just by itself, it gets used in that way. So yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about that. Just if you get it conjugated correctly, your sentence is going to make sense. And then keep an eye out on the tense you're using. This is present tense, whether you buy it. If you said, what is it? If you said 산 거나, it's whether you bought it or not. So just kind of keep in mind what tense you're working with. Actually, okay. I'm going to give you just words. So here is where I think practically makes the best translation. I want you to make this sentence. 철수 is practically our family. He's practically our family. Now, in English, we would say this. Yeah, I mean, 철수, he's at our house every day. He's practically family, right? You wouldn't say, 철수, he is the same as our family, right? You wouldn't say that. He is the same as our family. He's not the same as our family, but he's like, he's like pretty much, right? It's like almost the same as our family, practically. Basically, he's basically our family. He's practically our family. So 철수 is practically our family. I'm just going to give you these words. It doesn't have the full sentence. You'll still need more words. 철수 is practically our family. Aniki, perfect. I'm not going to read it out loud because I don't want to spoil it for anyone else trying it. And then our family. So you'll want to add in our family, not just family, but our family. It's practically our family. Hope, perfect. Nice job, Hope. And everyone else who didn't add the word for our family is still kind of correct. Just typically you're going to say our family to be specific. He's not just, it's not like when you're here, your family sort of family, you're saying our family. I really want garlic bread. I want Olive Garden's garlic bread, but I don't want their food. Is that okay? Can you do that? Can I just walk in and be like, okay, I just like your garlic bread, but then they sell it to you and it's not cheap. If you buy their garlic bread, it's not even cheap. They'll give it to you for free when you eat there, like nonstop, but you won't, but if you want to buy it, you have to suddenly pay like real money for it. I don't get it. Can I just sit down, get like a soda and like scarf myself with breadsticks? Cause I like their breadsticks. But like I said, their food is like mid-tier. Okay, let's see what else we got. Yes. Louisiette, par stew. Everyone got it. Like even the ones I was saying you're missing we. Your sentence is still good. Just add in we. So 우리 가족, not just 가족, but 우리 가족. So again, remember how I told you the whole form is 으나 with 마찬가지 and 이다. When you're using it with the noun, 이다 is the verb you use. So you get the stem, you have 이, and you attach 나. So you get 이나. Now after a consonant, it just becomes 나. But the form is the exact same, whether you're using it with a verb, whether you're using it with a verb that's in the 는 것 form, or whether you're using it with a verb that's 이다 after a noun. It's always the same form. 으나, 마찬가지, 이다. So just keep an eye out for that. In case you ever forget, which do I use it with? It's always 으나, 마찬가지이다. But the way that will look will depend on exactly which verb you're using. And again, with nouns, it is 이다. 철수는, so our friend 철수, well, he is 마찬가지예요. He's the same as if he is 우리 가족. So 우리 가족이나 마찬가지예요. He's the same as if he's our family member, or more naturally, 철수 is practically our family. 철수는 우리 가족이나 마찬가지예요. 철수는 우리 가족이나 마찬가지예요. So he's practically our family. Almost. So literally though, he is the same as if he's our family. He's the same as our family. But yeah, more naturally, he's practically our family. Okay, last sentence, but then I have a couple notes. Last sentence. The teacher. I know you already know this word. I'm just writing it up. The teacher is practically my role model. You say role model. Literally, just role model. The teacher is practically... he or she or they or whatever, they're practically my role model. The teacher is practically my role model. So this sentence is similar to the last one, but try it again. It's your second chance. Hope says, I'm still a bit confused about spacing. Which part? If you're talking about 거나, that would always be spaced since it's the same thing as the regular like 하는 거예요 form. So it's 하는 space 것예요 or 이에요 or whatever, 입니다, whatever you want to say, yeah. So there's always going to be a space there if you're using 거나. Yes, Aniki, perfect. So the teacher is practically, although you might want to add in my role model, but your sentence is correct, a role model without that. So the teacher is practically my role model. Yes, Hope Gate as well. Perfect. Okay, let me see a few other sentences here. As well as I see the sentences Louisette, Peristu, and Ayakata wrote for the last one. Nice job on those. For this one, let's see. Ayakata, nice. Valentine, SK, Te, nice. Peristu, Arendano, good job, all of you. Anyone else want to give it a shot? So the teacher is practically my role model. I'm going to start writing the sentence. See if there are any other sentences. Marav Levi. Good job. Again, you might want to add in my, but if you don't, it's just saying a role model. But here we want to say my role model. 선생님은, the teacher is 제 role model, my role model. 이나 마찬가지예요. So the teacher is the same as if they are my role model, literally, or more naturally, the teacher is practically my role model, or they're basically my role model. 선생님은 제 롤 모델이나 마찬가지예요. 롤. I was thinking of like League of Legends when I was trying to say it the first time. Lol. 선생님은 제 롤 모델이나 마찬가지예요. So the teacher is practically or basically my role model. Nice, Walker. 메라미미? I'm not sure what that name is. 제 한국어 롤 모델이나 마찬가지예요. Nice. Your name tripped me up though. 메라미미. Not sure what it's supposed to be. Pritika91 asks, is 마찬가지 used frequently in day-to-day speech? Yes, it's a regular word. I've used it a lot. I don't use this form super often with like verbs or nouns, but I use the word 마찬가지, or like saying something is the same as something, with 마찬가지 regularly. So I won't say daily, but like very frequently. 선생님은 제 롤 모델이나 마찬가지예요. So the teacher's practically my role model. Okay, I have a couple notes. If you are advanced, this is for you. 마찬가지 is not the only way that you can say something's the same as something. You could also swap this form for this expression. 다름이 없다. 다름 meaning something different. 없다 meaning there isn't. So there isn't anything different. Basically, it's the same. So this is the same as it's the same, which is the same as it's the same. It's no different. And this one's no different because it's the same. So you can swap them. Also, however, I'll say this one's not that common, but you might see it. This one's much less common though. 다름이 없다. It sounds a little bit more fancy. You can also replace this form with another form. 셈이다. 셈이다. I did a live stream about this in February 23rd of 2020, if you want to review it. But this form can also be exchanged for 마찬가지, because this form, 셈이다, means it's practically the same as something else. Very similar. The nuance, though, is different. While this one, 마찬가지, is like saying, it's practically this, or it's literally the same as this, or similar to this. 셈이다 is more like the nuance of saying, well, you could say that because it's similar. You could also say, or you could think that. So this has more of a thinking sort of nuance to it, whereas 마찬가지 is just saying something is the same as. So the nuance is different, but grammatically, you can replace 마찬가지다 with 셈이다. And I have a live stream all about that if you'd like to learn. 셈이다 is also used fairly frequently in conversation, but 셈이다 is more of an advanced level form. There are some expressions you'll hear it often, 그럴셈이지, or something like that. I think 마찬가지, though, is a little bit more versatile because it's, I think, a little bit more commonly used for like regular expressions. But yeah, you'll see both. So just know, if you watch this lesson, you're wondering how it's different. The nuance is different, but grammatically you can swap them. And I mean, that shouldn't be too much of a surprise because I already showed you how you can swap 은하 with 든지 because it has the same meaning. 마찬가지 also you can swap it with 같다 to be the same, right? Although not in the grammar form. But if you're just saying something's the same, you can say 같아요, it's the same, or 똑같아요. 그거랑 똑같아요, it's the exact same as that. 그거랑 마찬가지야, it's the exact same as that. The nuance is different though, but it's the same meaning because 똑같다 means to be the same or similar or something. Okay, that is the lesson for today. Let me quickly take a thumbnail image. Okay, I think that's bad. That's good. Let's use that. And now I can take some questions. If you have any questions about this lesson, great, or anything you'd like. Now I'm available to answer questions, or we can do more practice until I would say 3:30. So about 20 minutes. Hopefully you were able to follow along the lesson. I don't know what level you were. If you were low beginner and you saw this lesson, I apologize. There are probably several things in here you've never seen before. But if you have any questions, now is a good time to ask. I can try to explain some stuff in more detail. Stella's mom, it's got it going on. That song was on the radio the other day, and I was singing it because it was like really late at night and no one else could hear me. But yeah. Oh, Stella's mom, thank you so much. Hold on, let me give you 10 dabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh. I'm going to put your name on the 감사합니다 list. Someone made a, what is it, funny version. It was Stacy's dad on YouTube. It was really funny. If you like the song, I thought they made like an excellent dad version of the whole song. Again, thank you so much. Really appreciate your generosity. Yes. Ayakata says, 우리 집 고양이는 되게 뚱뚱해서 공이나 마찬가지 is basically a ball. Okay. You might want to use like a specific type of ball. Like what would that be? Like 농구공? Like a soccer ball? Or a bang, like bread. 식빵. We usually use 식빵 for, well, not we, but sometimes people I've heard use 식빵 for like loaf, like cats that look like a big loaf of bread that just kind of like sit around like this, you know? 식빵 is like just regular, your plain white bread. They call it 식빵, literally food bread, the bread that you just eat. And that's common to hear people say, looks like it's like basically a loaf of bread. Amanda Lee. Adding Amanda Lee to the 감사합니다 board. Amanda Lee, thank you so much. Let me give you 5 dabs. And your comment, thank you. I was able to mostly follow along, LOL, but not quite yet there. That's okay. You take some notes. I promise you will see this form used. It's fairly common. It's one of those things where you might not have noticed it, but then when you learn it, you're going to see it everywhere. It's really common. Especially the word 마찬가지. You'll see that daily. Victoria says, I didn't see the whole live stream. I don't know if you already covered this, but I have a question. Can I use 마찬가지 with the same meaning as 같은? Oh, I just covered that at the end. Yes. However, not the grammar form that we learn, like something 나 마찬가지, not that one, but 같아요, you can use it the same way as you use 마찬가지 with just to say 그것도 같아요, 그것도 똑같아요. That's also the same. Or 그거랑 똑같아요. We did these examples in the beginning. 오늘도 어제와 똑같이 추울 거예요. It'll be the same cold as yesterday, just like yesterday. 똑같이 though is more of a general word, like it just means same. And it's also used when you think something, like it seems to be something. So I think 마찬가지 is used when you want to be more emphatic and mean like it's the same as, it's just like, versus just saying it is the same as. Like 같다 is more literally, it is the same, like that. Whereas 마찬가지 has a little bit more character to it. Oh, Pritika. Thank you, Pritika. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'll add you to the 감사합니다 board. Thank you, Pritika. 5 dabs. Just because it's the first live stream I've managed to catch. A productive way to spend my Sunday night. This has been really helpful. Thanks. Oh, thank you. Jamie says, I'm too beginner for this, but hopefully someday I can catch up and join these regularly. Well, that's no problem because at least like 30% or so of the live streams I do are beginner level. That's a good amount. Maybe it's a little more than that. I'd say at least good half of them are intermediate and advanced though. But I do a lot of beginner classes as well. So you can check the past live streams for those. And I'll still do some more coming up as well. I think there are 2 more on the live vote that we have each week. I'm actually impressed that the intermediate topics won twice in a row. Even though there are 2 beginner topics, the intermediate ones won this time. So that's great. Personally, I'll teach whatever people want. So if people want more intermediate topics or more advanced topics, I'm happy to teach those. And I really like doing topics like these, which don't have a lot of material available online. Yeah, like Matangazi, you're not going to really find any lessons that cover all of its uses or where it's from, you know, this kind of comprehensive sort of lesson. So I like covering this type of stuff because I feel like I get to really contribute to the Korean learning, what do you call it? The world online. Like Pritika. Okay. Maddie says, what the Korean native wrote to me was, 설명하기는 힘들지만 요즘은 우리 어머니는 잘 안 써요. 여전히 우리 학교 등등은 쓰지만. Okay, well, they're not saying you don't use, what they're actually saying is they're not saying you don't use 우리 엄마. They're saying specifically the word 우리 어머니. But then they say 우리 학교. They use that. They still use 우리 the same. What they're just saying is they don't know how to explain it, but they think 우리 어머니 sounds a little bit strange. And that's fine. It's because nowadays people typically refer to their own mothers as 엄마. 어머니 has more of a formal word for it. It's like what you would refer, like if you're giving a speech or you're maybe a bit older, mother. My mother said to me, like that. Whereas 엄마 is like mom. Everyone says 우리 엄마. 엄마 is what they use these days. 어머니 might be how you would refer to someone else's mother to be polite, or 어머님 if you want to be really polite. But yeah, you're not going to use it so much for your own mother. That's not though because of 우리, it's just because of the word 어머니. So that's what they're referring to. And they're not wrong. It is less common to say 우리 어머니. These days you just say 우리 엄마 or just even 울 엄마, 울. This is the shortened version of 우리 that's used in slang. So don't write it in your speeches. Don't write it to think it's going to make your Korean look more native. It's just a casual word for 우리. So they say 울 엄마, 울 엄마 is how you can write it. Judy. Thank you, Judy. Oops. I'm like Judy and spell it with an A. That's because you had the A after your name, but Judy A82. Got to make my 감사합니다 board a little bit longer. Judy, let me give you 5 dabs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check out your comment. You wrote, a little advanced for me, but I've been picking them because I'll need it soon, and I always appreciate your lessons. Thank you so much for your generosity. There, I said the word correctly this time. Aniki says, 어찌나 던지. I think it was the form I was referring to at the beginning of the stream. I don't have a live stream about that. That would be an emphatic form, like how it was. You might read that form. I don't think you're going to speak it very much, but if you've seen it in a good sentence, let me know. Maybe I can do a lesson about that. Since you're a member, you do get to directly suggest stuff. So check if I already have a live stream about 던. If I'm not specifically 던, I know I do, but 던 with 던지. So search like 던 with G in parentheses or something. And if I don't, let me know on Discord or tweet it to me or whatever, or Instagram message, and I can add it to the future live streams. So that's one of the benefits of being a member of this channel, is that you get to suggest new topics. And pretty much all of the topics that you've seen since I started these live stream in 2018, and I started memberships, I think 2019. Since then, pretty much all of them have been suggested originally by channel members or Patreon supporters. So if you have a topic you would like me to teach that I haven't done yet, or you want me to do in more detail, maybe I have a small video about it, but you want it to be done in a full live stream, let me know. If you're a member, I can add your suggestion to the list. Blueberry says, every time I see someone saying omoni, I already know the relationship ain't good. Yeah. Hey, it's a good point. If you're calling your mother, my mother, how art thou? Like, you're not close. You're not hanging out and getting smoothies, right? It's probably like she's like the CEO's wife and you're the heir of the company, and you cannot date that attractive girl because she didn't grow up in the same neighborhood as you, and you're already arranged to marry this other attractive girl who's rich and actually really nice, but you don't love her. You love the poor one who works at a cafe as a barista. And you're also extremely attractive yourself, and you have millions of dollars. But if you get married to her, you lose millions of dollars, and instead you have to live your life opening a pasta shop together with this girl and working there every single day because your parents will disown you. And you refer to your mother, who always dresses up like she's going to like a business meeting, even when she's walking around the house, which is completely pristine, which has no decorations except like expensive stone sculptures in the walls. You all know what I'm talking about. That's the kind of person who says omoni to their mother. Hopegate asks a good question. In a novel, I came across tebiar manju, which is supposed to be a weird snack that doesn't actually exist. Yeah, manju is manju. How do I explain that? Let me Google. Let me actually neighbor this. It is a snack. So normally let's see. Is there anything on? It might just be the image of it. Yeah, it's actually not manju like with u, but it's manju with u. So the most common is this. Is it telli? I think it's telli manju. Let me check the spelling before you write this down. Let me check. Telli manju. Yeah, it is telli manju. So, telli manju are, if you go to the subway station in Korea, any subway station, and sometimes outside as well, but typically these are sold in major subway stations, like transfer stations that have multiple subways going. Telli manju is like a brand that sells these little tiny pastries. They have like design on them. I don't know what they look like. They're like little soft, gosh, what are they? Like shortcake. Yeah, it's like shortcake. That's the best way I can explain. Like shortcake that was cooked inside of a cast iron mold. So the outside is slightly, like ever so slightly crispy, and the inside's really soft, and there's cream on the inside, and they're small. I think this is actually bigger than they are. They're only like this big. And you get a bag with like 6 or 12. They smell incredible. They taste just like they smell. So if you smell these, and the store will be called telli manju. If you smell these, get them. They are really good. They'll fill you up. It's like the biggest bang for your buck in all of Korea, besides kimbap, is probably telli manju. Ask any Korean, they love this stuff. Maybe a good second place would be bungeoppang. Bungeoppang is those ones that are shaped like a fish, that are like crispy on the outside. They're really big and they have the different fillings. But that one's like crispy and you only eat 1 or 2. These ones are really soft and chewy. So not chewy. They're soft and gooey. That's the word I wanted. So they're like tiny donuts, almost like shortcake donuts. So good. So good. You'll get a bag of 12 and you'll be like, oh, we can share them. And you're not going to want to share them. Yeah, 붕어빵 is really good too. So yeah, manju is this image. When I hear manju is what I think of is the daily manju. So that's probably what they did. I know this is a really long question, but that's probably what they were doing when they made this snack, this fake snack. But let me check. 제비알 manju, if they have a picture of it. Oh, okay. Well, 제비알 would be the bird. Egg. Ar is like a small egg. So I think they were just trying to mimic that picture, but without saying daily manju. They just said, it's 제비알 manju. I think, is that a dove? No. What would that be? 제비 is a bird, but I can't remember what kind of bird it is. Swallow. That's right. Swallow. What's the average airspeed velocity of an unladen 제비? That's right, 제비. So that's what I think they were doing. They're like saying, hey, we can't use this exact word, but let's use something else similar like it, because they kind of look like little eggs or something. Yeah, that was a very long explanation. Someone else wrote 호두 과자. No. Okay, so 호두 과자 are often, they look like a walnut, and the outside, it's similar in description what I just said for daily manju. The outside is kind of crispy, the inside's soft and has some like filling in it, and it'll have bits of hodu, walnut. 호두 과자 are good, but they are not daily manju good. Daily manju need to be a controlled substance in Korea. I swear I would vote for that, to control these. They're addictive. 호두 과자 are just walnut flavored snacks. They're good, but they're not daily manju. Ask any Korean which one tastes better. If I'll give you a bag of 10, which do you pick? Everyone's going to pick daily manju. Guarantee it. Like they'll say, oh, hodu 과자 is more healthy. But like, okay, which one do you really want? They'll all grab the daily manju. Daily manju is on a different level. Yeah, if there are any Koreans here, you'll back me up on this. Daily manju is where it's at. But 호두 과자 are also really good too. I mean, they're getting a free ad. I don't really care. If you make good stuff, I'll advertise you. One of the other places I really like is Isaac Toast. It's an old franchise in Korea, meaning it's been around since, I don't know, probably the 90s, maybe the 80s. And they just sell sandwiches, but they're specifically like 2 pieces of white bread with a piece of ham, a piece of cheese, and sometimes there will be like scrambled egg with corn and a little bit of sugar in it. They're really good and really simple and cheap. Like even now, I think you can get a simple ham cheese sandwich for like 2,000원, like less than $2. They're one of my favorite franchises. They're also like, they're little stores. Every city will have several of them. I don't get paid by them. They've never once given me a free anything, but I love them. I always go there when I'm in Korea. The inventor of Korean toast. Yeah, Isaac Toast is fantastic. Some stuff is like really expensive and you buy it and it's good, but you kind of feel like, I wish it wasn't so expensive. I would eat it all the time. Isaac Toast is one of those things where you eat it, you're like, oh, this is really good. And it's cheap. You can eat it all the time if you want. So I found some of the places I go to the most often in Korea, besides like Korean food, would be Isaac Toast. And then lately I also fell in love with the company Saladi. Saladi is like, it's a salad franchise, but they're also, I won't say cheap, but they're affordable, like maybe 8,001 for a big bowl of salad. And they're good salads. Like you can eat one and you're kind of full and you get to eat like healthy. So if you ever just want vegetables and you don't want to have meat or rice or anything, you just want vegetables, I like Saladi also. I kind of go back and forth between those two whenever I'm like not working and I don't have any appointments that day. No, I'm not filming anything, I'm not going to meet with my family. Then I'll have either Saladi or Isaac Toast by myself. Isaac Toast would be my favorite, I'd say. You all need to try Isaac Toast. It's worth giving up one of your meals in Korea for Isaac Toast. Unless you're only there for like 3 days. If you're there for like a week though, I would say one time, try Isaac Toast. Get the the ham cheese special, which has, it's ham and cheese and then the egg that I told you with like corn. It's a little sweet. And then there's also a bunch of shredded cabbage on top of it and some sauce. Or just ham cheese is the same thing minus the cabbage. I like the ham cheese special. It's like an extra 20 cents and it's worth it. Or if you want to be fancy, my other favorite one is the VIP steak toast, which is the exact same thing, but instead of ham, it's just a piece of like steak. It's like shredded beef smashed into a piece of ham, basically, but it's made of beef. And then they put like a sweet sauce on it. That one also is really good. Skip everything else on the menu for bread, because I've tried, I'm someone who's been to Isaac Toast more times than I can count. And I've tried every item on the menu, including their new items. Whenever they have a new item, I always try it. And I have yet to find anything for me as good as the basic ones. So ham cheese, if you're cheap, ham cheese special, if you want some cabbage, and then the steak VIP, if you want the steak one, which is a little better than the ham cheese special, but it's more expensive. Just those. Don't bother with anything else. Don't get the pizza one. Don't get the baby shark toast they had. Don't get the potato one. They have like Spam one. They had like a cheese. They have all these other flavors. They're all okay, but you'll wish you just got the regular one every time. That, and then I will say it's also safe to get their kiwi juice. If you want to try something, if you want to get something to drink with your toast, kiwi juice, specifically kiwi. I've tried all the flavors. Again, I've had everything on the menu multiple times. Some of the new items they'll have, I'll try once, though they're not good enough to try more than once. But all the regular stuff I've had multiple times, and those are clearly the best. Yeah, kiwi juice. It's really good. It actually tastes like they blended a bunch of kiwis. It really does taste like that. It's good. It tastes like you're just drinking a bunch of kiwis. Totally worth it. And it's cool. It's like cold. They put ice in it too. So it's like an iced slushy, but it tastes like kiwi, not like sugar, not like flavored sugar, but it kind of tastes like kiwi. So it's good. That kiwi juice plus like ham cheese special toast, maybe 2 ham cheese special toasts if you're really hungry. Oh yeah, it's just heaven. Oh, Hope Gate. Yeah, take care, Hope Gate. Okay. We got way off track talking about snacks. Teilimanju again also is that's one of the things you'll smell it. You'll know what I'm talking about. When you see it, you don't even need to see it. You'll just walk by and you'll say, something smells like really good, like bread, like sweet bread. It's teilimanju. It smells incredible, but you'll think, oh, it can't taste that good. It probably just smells good. A lot of street food in Korea, especially like the stuff that's bread, smells incredible, but tastes okay or good. But teilimanju smells incredible and tastes incredible. That's why I recommend it. One thing you may have seen I'm not a big fan of is egg toast. So Korea, like there are all sorts of street foods you can buy, and egg toast is a really common one that I've seen in tourist areas. It's kind of like meh, it's okay. You'll eat it and you're like, oh, it's pretty good. But it's not so good that you are glad you came to Korea to try it. It's not like in that level. And there are lots of street food that's like that. It looks great, but then when you try it, you're like, why did I try this? Like I could have gotten better food at the state fair in my own country, right? Especially me, I'm in LA. I can go to the LA State Fair and get like deep fried Twinkies. Like, why do I need to go to Korea to get subpar this food or whatever? But yeah, those are street food that are really good. Bungeoppang is another one. Walker says in Poland they do banana kiwi juice. Oh, that sounds really good. I think they have a strawberry also at Isaac Toast, and I've gotten their other ones too, but the kiwi is the best. The kiwi definitely stands out as special, and the other ones just kind of taste like what you'd expect. But yeah, the kiwi definitely is like, oh, I've never had this kind of thing before. And it goes really well because the Isaac Toast is not just ham and cheese and egg. It's not just that. They also have a sauce they put on it, and the sauce tastes like kiwi sauce, if that makes sense. Like kiwi flavored salad dressing is what they put on the not hamburgers. Oddly enough, they actually do have a burger chain. Never tried it. But kiwi sauce is what they put on their sandwiches. And the kiwi sauce goes really well with the kiwi drink. So it's kind of like, that's why they go really well together. Jesse says, I'd kill for 붕어빵, 오뎅, and 호떡. Yeah. Okay, so the other ones, 오뎅 is, oh, yeah. 오뎅 is another one of those things where you'll see it and you probably won't try it if you're just visiting Korea because it looks disgusting and it actually smells kind of weird. And if you know what it is, it's even worse. Why did I write that all messed up? So the word, there are actually two words for this. There's odeng, which is from Japanese. And these days, younger Koreans prefer using words that aren't from Japanese. So you'll also hear the word omuk. Maybe these days omuk is a little more common. When I was in Korea, odeng was, everyone called it odeng. No one called it omuk. But nowadays, more people, I think, call it omuk. And it's fish cake. And if you know how a hot dog is made, it's the same thing, but you put fish into the hot dog machine. And out comes this paste, this nasty, like gray paste with like fish, everything inside of it. Fish eyes. I don't know. They put literally everything. And it sounds disgusting. Taste though is very palatable, very nice. And it has like a light fishy flavor. It's not very fishy like you might, it's not like rotten fish or anything like that. It's like light white fish kind of flavor. Like a fish stick. If you like fish sticks, it's like the inside of a fish stick. And they serve it really hot and it's chewy. So it's kind of like, it looks like rubber, but it's not rubbery, it's chewy. And you get that with a cup of the juices that it's cooked in. It's so good. It's one of those things you really have to just trust a Korean and try it. And it's cheap. You get a big stick of it. This is that's a stick. Okay, that's a skewer. You get a big skewer of it for, usually it's a 1,000won. Sometimes they'll give you like 3 of them for each 1,000won, depending on where you go. It's a stick and it has like a flat piece of omuk on it. And then you dip that in like soy sauce and like red pepper. Oh, it's so good, especially on a hot day. On a cold day. Like your hands are cold and you get this hot stick of omuk. Oh, it's so good. And then 호떡. 호떡 is another one of my favorites. They actually have a lot of kinds these days. They have 버블 호떡, which is like, it sucks, frankly. I don't like it. It's just like they take 호떡 and they make it thinner and they make it filled with air. So basically you're just buying a bag of air that you can eat. I'm not a fan of 버블 호떡, but regular 호떡 is made like a pancake that's filled with, what's that? It's hot. Pine nuts. So like nuts, and they're like chopped really small, or sometimes walnuts or whatever, some sort of nut, and honey. So it's like pancake filled with honey on the inside. And they push it down so it's like the outside is kind of crispy and the inside is like molten lava honey with nuts inside of it. Oh, it is so good. And it's also another thing that it's cheap. But a lot of places will have 씨앗. 씨앗 means seed. 씨앗 호떡. 씨앗 호떡, they'll put like expensive seeds into it to make it fancy, and then they'll charge you like $2 each. But the original 호떡, you can get like 2 for $1. Some places will do 3 for $1, but I think 2 for $1 is more common these days. 1 for $1 if you're in a tourist area, but it's still worth it even for 1 for $1. You don't need a lot, just one is good. They're pretty big these days. So yeah, just get a 호떡, get some omuk, get some daelimanju. Oh, you're gonna be fat in no time. It's great. Xandria says, can you do a stream of just where to go for good food and how to spot a good kiosk? Also the nuance of ordering things like a regular, kind of. I have something coming up for, actually I can't announce it yet, but I will do that. One of those things I will do. Yeah, for good food though, that's, okay, here's a way to find good food in Korea. Here are the steps to find good food in Korea. Step 1. You search for the term 맛집. 맛 is just like flavor and 집 is a restaurant. So good restaurant in the neighborhood you are in. So you search the neighborhood you're in, like Hongdae or whatever, and then 맛집. Or the food item and then 맛집. And you can add in the neighborhood you're in. So like Hongdae, 삼겹살 맛집 if you want to have samgyeopsal, or like 호떡 맛집 if you want 호떡, whatever. So then you search that. You'll see a bunch of results on Naver. Oh, 5 stars. Oh, blog posts, blah, 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 blah. Don't believe a single one. They're all fake. So many of them are just like garbage, like outdated or not even real, or like the reviews were left by an employee. You can't trust that. Even if it has like tons of reviews, you'll go to the restaurant and you'll find out right next to the menu, there's a sign that says, if you leave a review, we'll give you a free soda. Like a $1 soda if you leave a review. So you'll see like tons of 5-star reviews, but you'll go there and it's just okay because everyone left a review to get a soda. Don't trust this always. It's sometimes legitimate and other times you'll just find random stuff. But start off like this. Then go to the restaurants and view their pictures. See what they actually serve. See what the food actually comes out looking like. Not their photos that they produce, but like the user's photos of the food. Does that look appetizing? Does that look like something you'd want? Then look at the prices. If it's really expensive compared to other places, you know this is gonna be, it might not be better. More expensive really does not mean better tasting in Korea, like it might in the US. It doesn't. Is it in a touristy area? You might want to avoid it. You might want to be careful about that because they might make their prices more just because tourists go there. What I usually do though is I will look at pictures to find out the best places to go before I go there. And then actually read the reviews of what people wrote. Not their like quick, oh, the food's really good and really tasty, but like blog posts. People will make blog posts with reviews and photos. Those ones are usually more trustworthy because they're not going to waste their time making a whole blog post to get a free soda. They might make a blog post if they got a free meal from the restaurant, but still you're going to get more information about it. So that's where I would kind of start. Another thing you can do is literally just ask a Korean in the area, hey, where do you get good whatever food in this area? Ask a student. If you're anywhere near students, if there's like a university nearby, just go up to a student and be like, 아, 저기 죄송한데요. 지금 호떡 파는 지가 지금 호떡 맛있게 만드는 집을 찾고 있는데요. 혹시 이 주변에 어디 있을까요? 없을까요? Like you can, that's not exactly what I would say. I'm just kind of giving you a quick example. You can kind of start a conversation with someone, be like, oh, I'm sorry. 저 사실 미국에서 왔는데요. 저 호떡 너무 먹고 싶어가지고 이 주변에서 열심히 찾고 있는데 못 찾겠더라고요. You can just say like, hey, I'm actually from like America, I'm trying to find like 호떡 or whatever, and they'll probably they'll probably search or find it for you, or be like, oh, there's a place over there. Or you can ask someone like outside of the restaurant, like, or a bunch of restaurant areas. You're like, hey, is there any good restaurant here for a common food item? And they might tell you, oh, I actually like here. They'll be like, I always go here with my friend or something like that. If you see a couple walking around and they just came out from eating, ask them where they ate. Be like, oh, I'm really sorry. This is random, but can I ask you where you just had lunch or dinner? Was it good? I'm thinking of getting that for dinner. Like you can just ask people like that. Koreans love talking about food. So I think a lot of them are happy to share their experiences. And if you can't do it in Korean, you can do it in English. They'll probably still help you out. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry, but I want to eat that at that restaurant. Is it good? Like when someone comes out of the restaurant and then they can tell you, oh, it's okay. Or, oh, really good. Like that. They'll tell you honestly. So yeah, don't be afraid. But tourist areas, you have to be a bit careful because those restaurants don't need to be good to survive. Whereas in other places they do. Restaurants come and go every year or two in most places in Korea, but in tourist areas, they can stick around forever because they don't need to make a good product to sell lots of their food. So it's more of a gamble in tourist areas. You can still find good food in tourist areas. There's still lots of good restaurants. But if you don't know that and you're just kind of randomly wandering around, there's a higher chance you're going to get a restaurant that's meh because they don't really care. They have plenty of customers and you know they don't care that their food's not that great. One of the worst meals I had in my entire life in Korea was in Myeongdong. Actually, I had it was a tonkatsu place, tonkatsu, and I should have known when I walked in. So restaurants might have a sign that says 선불. 선 means before, 불 means pay. So this is pay before you sit down. So you pay when you order. You order your food and you pay, and then you sit down. And a lot of places will do this when, especially like areas near, like with high traffic areas near, like maybe with students, they don't want to deal with taking everyone's payment after they leave. They just want to get it all at the door. You pay, you sit down, they bring you your food, and then you can leave whenever you want. Hubur is pay after. 99% of restaurants do this. You eat, then you pay, and then you go. Hubur. Hu is after, so after pay. If you see a place that says 선불, and there's not really a good reason for it to be 선불, like it's not in a super packed area where there are like tons and tons of, you know, students going and coming, and they have their register right at the front. They need to take care of it. If it's a regular restaurant and they say 선불, run. It could just be like what I had, where they had you pay for it in advance, and then, you know, you've already eaten it, and then you leave, and, you know, they don't really care because they're never going to see you again. So just kind of be cautious of places that do pay first. It doesn't mean that pay first restaurants are bad. There are lots of places that will serve fast food, like, I don't mean fast food, but like they make it fast. Like there are places that will have toshirak, like Korean style meals. Like basically you would know it as the word bento in English from Japanese, bento, kind of like that style where they just have rice and some sides. Those are all 선불 because they know they know they're just giving you the food and you go. Like they don't really care. Places in train stations might be 선불 so that they don't have to worry about paying when you're rushing to get your train. You just pay when you go there, and then you can leave casually. So if you're in a train station, it's probably going to be 선불 for a lot of the places. But other than that, restaurants don't use 선불 because you want to know that the customer liked their food. You want to make sure they get everything before they pay. And they might order more stuff, right? You don't want them to pay and then they can't order anything else. So yeah, just something to be aware of. Let's see here. Zandria says, I'll just get a guy to find it for me. Yeah, that would be awesome. I usually, who do I usually? I think I tend to ask students the most whenever I need help finding something. I'm someone who tends to go up to like college students because they seem to be the most open to answering my questions. Like people up until like the age of like 40. So like anyone younger than me is usually pretty good if I have a question. And typically guys, I usually also go for guys just because I don't want a girl to think I'm like, you know, creepy or anything. Oh, excuse me. So usually go to a guy. Oh, like, hey, I've done that a lot. Like some guys, when I was filming an interview, they had some donuts and I'm like, oh, I want those donuts. So I was talking with them about where they got their donuts. They pointed exactly to the store and they told me the price. And I asked, you know, which one's their favorite and they recommended it, everything like that. They're happy to talk about food. Let's see. Oh, I should probably stop this. The stream soon. I've gone on longer than I expected talking about food. Myeongdong 돈가스 is kind of trash. Myeongdong gyoza is actually worth a try. Oh, really? Gyoza. Okay. I'll keep that in mind because Myeongdong is like my least favorite place for getting literally everything. Cosmetics are okay because they'll discount them heavily. Like you can get, like they'll say, you know, if you're planning on spending a lot of money on cosmetics, then Myeongdong actually isn't too bad because a lot of the stores will have like, oh, 50% off if you buy this, or you get this and you get a special thing because they're just trying to get all the tourists in and out really quick. And they're all competing for the same eyes. But other than that, for their food, I'm really not a fan of Myeongdong. There are some good places in there that I've had, like really good restaurants, but the majority of places that I've tried and the majority of street food I've tried there is all like, it's trash. Like it's really bad. Like why are they selling this? And I sometimes feel bad for tourists that are in the area and don't know because this is their first time. Some of them, this is their first time having Korean food and they go to Myeongdong. And then they leave and they're like, "Oh, Korean food is okay." I'm like, "No, you did not have Korean food in Myeongdong." Like I feel bad sometimes for depending on what they're getting. I sometimes feel bad, like I'll have some food and like it was just okay, but I see there's a long line for it. All these people are gonna have a bad impression about Korean food. Like it's really good, but not this place. So yeah, I recommend other places if you want to get food. I used to recommend Gwangjang Market for getting food, but these days Gwangjang became so touristy for Koreans. I mean, It started getting really popular maybe like 8 years ago or so. And then a lot of the really nice restaurants, sorry, not restaurants, but like the stalls that would sell food would raise their prices, lower their quality sometimes. So you would go there to get, oh, they have this food, it's famous. And you go get their famous food and it's like, meh, I've had better in other places. There was some stuff that they were promoting that was just not good at all either. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend there. There are a lot of other markets though. Like any other regular market in Seoul would probably be better than Gwangjang-sijang now. And there's another one Mangwon. Mangwon-sijang is the other one I was trying. Mangwon-sijang is a better alternative, but I think it's not as busy. It's not as, hasn't been touristified yet. So that's a little safer choice if you actually want some Korean street food. But really, like, street food is not, it's not like you just go to one place and get street food. Street food is like you get it around here and there. Like this place will have this and this place over there will have this. If you want street food, I usually recommend checking out any areas near any major subway station. And especially in the afternoon. Like in the morning, you're not going to see anything. Like in the later afternoon, more little stalls will start to open up. And that's when you can start to find like street food, Korean street food that you're all looking for. It's going to be kind of near subway stations, sometimes inside or like underneath the subway stations, they'll have some. And then actually inside of the stations as well, they'll have like sometimes little shops that will sell street food also. That's typically pretty good. So yeah. Okay, let's see. I was wondering if una in the past tense use the past stem. 했나? Yeah, you could. Or 한거나. 한거나 or 했나. But 했든지 would also be the same, as I had mentioned. So I definitely asked the girls first. Well, if I was, yeah, but now I'm like 37, so I have to keep that in mind. Am I talking to another person that like, are they going to be like weirded out if this guy wearing like a baseball cap runs up to them and be like, oh, excuse me, I'm looking for a place to eat. That's like Mickey Mouse. Oh, can I do Mickey Mouse's voice like copyright free now? I know the original Mickey Mouse cartoon is copyright free now, but did he speak like Mickey Mouse in the original cartoon? I don't know. He probably didn't. He probably spoke differently. Anyway, yeah. Sometimes if there's like no one around, actually, if there's no one around, I really wouldn't want to ask a girl. But if it's like a group of like guys and girls, then that's fine. I definitely would ask them as well. Okay. That's enough for today. I don't want to take up any more time. Thank you for coming. Hopefully this lesson somewhat made sense to you. Next week, we will have another lesson, which you have to vote on tomorrow. So make sure to check the community tab for the vote. Thank you for coming, and I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.